right, guys, let's reverse the roles. Actually, let's not reverse the roles. Let me just ask you point blank. How do you think the Waukesha Christmas Parade trial would have gone if Sue Opper was the judge instead of Judge Doro? How's it going, everyone? This is Christian Duke. You're watching Sight Sounds Flavors on YouTube, sightsoundsflavors.com. If at any point during this video you like it, please smash that like button. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications so you won't miss a single video. And by the way, guys, I've got a lot of videos besides the Gerald Brooks videos, besides the Waukesha Christmas Parade videos. So check those videos out, please. And also for all videos, especially these videos, leave a comment down below because a lot of times it's your comments that inspire me to make new videos. You leave a comment, I respond, we have a conversation. That's what it's all about. Maybe I put 10, 20 seconds of fair use clip from another, whatever, and then we talk about it for 10 minutes. This is not a channel where you're going to see trial footage for 20 minutes and me making money off of other people's content. I take a little slice, fair use, totally legal, totally cool, and then we talk about it. We talk about the law, we talk about life, we talk about believability, we talk about ulterior motives, we talk about it all. But here is what we're going to talk about today, and it is based on the fact that initially I said let's reverse roles. But let me tell you something, I would not want to see the Judge Doro that I saw as a prosecutor, because Judge Doro was way too soft on Gerald Brooks Jr., basically he was already a monster to begin with, but allowed him to become a monster as a litigator, pro se, whatever, in the court, allowing him to do that 50-minute rant where he just talked about all sorts of nonsense, objection after objection after objection, 90% of which were completely without merit, completely baseless, and not used to object to evidence that did not meet the standard, but rather to badger, to stall, to sabotage. And she just allowed it. She told him that she was scared of him. She let him hide behind boxes. She let him sink his head down. Many times she had to stand up to try to have more authority. He would stand up and she wouldn't tell him to sit down. If I gave her a score, a grade for how she did, I'd give her an A. I'd give her a 97. But this kind of trial is a trial we're going to talk about for the next 10, 20, 30 years. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, look at all the videos. The trial's long been over. And nobody really talks about the appeal or the other cases. It's that trial that everybody's obsessed with. We all hate Gerald Brooks Jr., at least I do. I don't know a lot of people say that hate is a flaw in you. So be it. Let it be a flaw in me. And even if I'm the only person that hates him, I don't need, comfort in numbers. I don't need to be one of many. Even if I'm the only person in the world that hates the guy, let me be that one person that hates I hate the guy, But, I think that on my video for Everything Else channel, which I'll link here, everythingelsechannel.com, just put that into your search bar, and please subscribe to that channel. It's very important that you do, because there's also some Waukesha content over there, First Amendment audits, some tourism stuff. It's Everything Else channel. Everything else goes there. But I don't think that Sue Opper as the judge would have needed a prosecutor to remind her that she was in charge. I don't think that Sue Opper as the judge would have needed a prosecutor to validate her as judge from a spiritual, emotional standpoint. The judge always knew that legally, she was the presiding officer. She was the one that decided what was relevant, what was not, what came in, what didn't. Legally, she knew that she had the right to maintain decorum in the courtroom. But from a spiritual, emotional, disposition-wise, she seemed as if she needed that bolstering from Sue Opper from time to time. She seemed as if she needed to take more breaks than were necessary. She did not have the that sort of split-second reaction to put this guy in his place, Gerald Brooks Jr., whether that meant sending him back to his cell, sending him to another courtroom, having the bailiffs intervene. She was very, very soft and very, very weak in that sense. And so I think it's an interesting question, because if Sue had been the judge, I think that Gerald would have been put in check from the get-go, and we would not have seen him badger, torment, re-traumatize a lot of the victims as he did. We would not have seen him go to the extents that he did with Erica Patterson. I don't think that the two pictures, for example, would ever have come up. I don't think that Jarrell would have dared trying to pull off a complete deception on the court the way that he did with the two pictures, trying to imply that they were sent to him by Erica Patterson when in reality they were sent to him by Dawn Woods, his mom. The prosecution knew it, and I think the judge probably did as well, or should have known about it. But it would not have reached that level. And again, why would the judge have known it? Because he was firing off these intercorrectional memos all the time to the judge. And so she was very, very well aware of, the comings and goings of his prison life, even though that's another thing. She said that she did a couple of them as a courtesy, but then she said she was going to pull away because it wasn't really her job. Sue Opper never would have done a single one of them. I think that Judge Doro, in her quest to be as fair as possible, actually may have been too fair for Jarrell Brooks. And as a result, this trial just, it was a runaway train at times, because in the reality of the matter is that it was a lot longer than it should have been. And even if it had been a lot shorter, and this guy's screaming rush to judgment, lawful law, grounds, all the other stuff that he says, at the end of the day, he would have received a fair trial. And a lot of these poor victims would not have had to go through what they had to go through because of Jarrell Brooks' endless questioning. I mean, we saw with Erica Patterson, he didn't want to release her as a witness. We also saw with some of the other witnesses that he didn't want to release them either. And he made for damn sure, he's like, well, you can't release them. I don't want them to go home. I don't want them to go back to their normal lives. I may need them tomorrow. What do you need them for? I don't know, but I may need them. And the judge entertained that and allowed it to happen. So, it's just, to me, it's an interesting question. We've got a lot of things we're going to talk about in the future. The court reporter didn't get any credit. The paralegal didn't get any credit. A lot of these other witnesses, some of these detectives, some of these experts. There's a lot to talk about. But one thing that I was just really curious about is, what do you think? How do you think the trial would have gone if Sue Opper or someone like Sue Opper was the judge? And but hold on now. I'm not saying I don't want Judge Doro as a prosecutor, because I don't think if she could be tough as a judge, much less as a prosecutor. I still give her an A, but not an A+. I'm not knocking her. I'm just pointing out little things. But here's my question. It's a two-part question. A, how do you think Sue Opper would have done as a judge with Judge Doro as a prosecutor? So reversing roles. B, how do you think the trial would have gone if we had a judge like Sue Opper with a prosecutor like Sue Opper? How do you think that trial would have gone? Because I think that in both scenarios, we would have seen a completely different sort of order of events. I think in all scenarios, the way that it was, option A or option B, Jarrell Brooks Jr. is guilty. It doesn't matter. And it still doesn't matter if he would have kept his public defenders. He still would have been guilty. Probably the sentence would have been a little bit less severe for him. But, I mean, what's 2 life sentences versus 5 life sentences? It's a life sentence served consecutively. You're never going to get out. End of story. But I just think that if we had a tougher judge, kind of like a Sue Opper up there, or like a judge like if Sue Opper were a judge, I think that Jarrell would have been put in check from day one. We wouldn't have seen the 2 pictures. We wouldn't have seen the 50-minute rants. We wouldn't have seen the stare downs. We wouldn't have seen any of that. But what do you think? As always, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video, and leave a comment down below. And please don't forget everythingelsechannel.com, the secondary channel. Please also like, comment, and subscribe over there. Peace.